So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today we're going to be reacting to changes coming to employment laws in Germany. Germany is one of my favorite countries. I've lived there, worked there many times. It's a very great country. This article is from Ius Laboris, their global HR labor lawyers, written by Miriam Seaman, Anha Dachner, and you can find more in the link down below if you want to read more about it. It is a really interesting read, although short. So the minimum wage is increasing. The statutory minimum wage will rise to $12.41, which equals out to about $13.48 in US dollars. Now, it's a little bit misleading because each industrial labor union has a minimum wage set to it. And for a long time, that's how, like many countries in Europe, that's how minimum wage was defined. I think about 10 years ago or so, Germany went through a process where they needed to establish a minimum wage for workers that were not covered under a labor union, and they passed it, and it has gone up to 13.48. That is, of course, higher than many states, but also lower than a few states and lower than several municipalities in the United States. However, Germany is much cheaper than those municipalities that have that high of a minimum wage, right? Germany is much cheaper than those. For example, the minimum wage in San Francisco is $18.07. Many municipalities throughout Los Angeles, for example, West Hollywood is $19.08. So many minimum wages are significantly higher than that in the United States, but those specific areas are much more expensive than almost all of Germany that I'm aware of. Next is the contribution assessment threshold, and I think that this is a little bit interesting. The contribution level for pension insurance amounts to 18.6% of gross salary, with a ceiling of 7,450 euros per month in the federal states of Germany and 7,005 in the new federal states and 7,550 per month in the old ones. And the contributions are covered in equal parts by employers and employees. It's 9.3% each. And so this is, in my mind, almost an increase of the Social Security cap as well as 401k to a degree. In addition, the equalization levy is one that I wanted to highlight. So Germany put in place a quota system for employment of people with disabilities in 1953. And if you have 20 employees in a yearly average, you have to have at least 5% of the people with severe disabilities. If they don't meet that, they have to pay an equalization levy. It over doubled per workplace per month to $720 to 720 euros. That is, it's not an insignificant cost, especially because the minimum is 20 employees. That's not a huge business by any means. And I think that it's interesting. I also wonder if there are enough severely disabled employees that could be effective in a workplace. If people are paying this and simply can never find an employee that meets these definitions, that would be, I imagine, a real struggle. They now have to have an internal reporting system to handle whistleblowing, and the minimum employees amount is actually kind of surprising. It's 50 employees for whistleblowing, but they have to have an internal reporting system that will address these things. The next one I find to be quite interesting, and one that we really need to take a look at and consider from an American perspective. So they can now take sick leave by telephone. Employees are able to do that for up to 5 days since 2023. Most employers ask for a sick note if you're sick more than 3 days, and if they're in the probation period, it's recommended to get it on the first day. You can get a sick note from the doctor, and you can also get it in person. But since 2023, you've been able to now have a digital sick note from the health insurer. Well, so for example, many municipalities that allow for sick leave, require sick leave as part of the gig, they don't require a doctor's note. The next one I wanted to highlight was the inflation compensation premium. So employers could give up to €3,000 through the end of 2024 to compensate for inflation changes, and it wasn't taxed. It was exempt from tax and Social Security contributions. And this mostly came from the issue with respect to Russia. The prices for natural gas were skyrocketing, and this was a way to sort of help the employee without being taxed and everything else. And I don't know how many employers took advantage of it, but that is still good through the end of 2024. And then finally, and not as important, but I do find it interesting. There's going to be the recognition of foreign professional qualifications and the introduction of an opportunity card, and I think that that is going to be very useful to help the healthcare environment in Germany, right? To support this massive social system that they have with respect to health insurance. They need more doctors. It's a serious concern, and they've done it by figuring out how to recognize foreign professional qualifications. So what do you think about this? Is this are any of these something that we can include in the United States, or should we just leave them alone? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.